Welcome back to Scissors and Scrubs. We're coming up on the Halloween season, Laura.
Oh, yeah.
You know it's my favorite.
It's your favorite time of year.
It's the most wonderful time. The colors, the decorations. I love it. We really don't have anything super spooky. We're just talking about psych facilities.
Someone wrote in.
Yes.
And told us that they had gone to the Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Which would be a dream vacation for me.
It is a good vacation.
Yeah.
And they thought we should cover it. So that's what we're doing.
Well, don't you notice, too, people are fascinated with lunatic asylums. They were actually named lunatic asylums.
That's the actual name of it. Yeah.
They were named lunatic asylums.
I'm not saying that. That's the name.
And when I was doing public health for Massachusetts, they meet at the old Tewksbury State. Oof. And when you pull up to these places, it looks like a lunatic, like these Gothic structures. Like, you imagine back in the day, you're probably like, you're 50, you're hitting menopause, you're hot flashing, you're moody, your husband thinks you're nuts, so he sticks you in the lunatic asylum. You drive up to this Gothic creepy shit, straight jackets, like, you had no right, stuck in there, done. Yeah. These places are fascinating to me. Yeah, they're absolutely fascinating.
Like teenagers. Like, we would drive up to all the mental asylums or whatever we called them then, and like, drive around. Yeah, like, we're gonna go in the back, and
because they're so creepy.
They're so creepy, and like people had to stay there, and it's like we're like, ooh, let's go and see if we see ghosts. Like, why are you seeing ghosts? But
because you tortured, tormented souls in those places.
Yeah. Anyways,
all right, so take it away.
All right. So I got this from All That's Interesting and
mine's
the TransAlleghenyLunaticAsylum.com.
Why is it Trans-Allegheny?
It's where it is.
From the Trans-Allegheny Highway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that area.
I know.
So this is really about Thomas Kirkbride and the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Thomas Kirkbride was born on July 31st, 1809.
Oh, wow.
In Bucks County, Pennsylvania, to a family of Quaker farmers.
Oh, the Quakers.
Them
father, and their oats.
Yeah. His father encouraged him to go to medical school because he was very bright and too frail for farming. So his father was like, you know what? You're no help to us here.
Go into medicine.
Go to medical school.
Wow. You're you can't lift a
Look at how skinny you are. Go to school.
Wow. I did not expect you to say that.
He was
frail for farming.
He received his medical degree from the University of Pennsylvania in 1832.
UPenn.
He wanted to be a surgeon. Like, that was what he wanted to do.
They all want to be surgeons.
Yep. That was like, the creme de la creme is to be a surgeon. But did not get offered a residency at Penn Hospital in Philadelphia, which is where he wanted to be. But he had family connections, and they hooked him up with a residency at the Quaker-run Friends Asylum for the Insane. That's the name of it.
The Friends Asylum
for
the Insane. We were so wonderful about the things we said. The Nut House. Why didn't you just call it the Nut House? The Friends Nut House.
Yeah.
The Friends Asylum.
And that was in Frankfort, Pennsylvania. Kirkbride was really impressed by the quote-unquote moral treatment of the patients at this asylum.
Moral means like what? They weren't stripping them naked.
They were like
them?
just treating them like humans.
People. Yeah.
At the time, most quote-unquote insane people were deemed incurable and chained up in dungeon-like environments. Friends Asylum established a family atmosphere, removed physical restraints, and provided patients with mentally and physically stimulating activities. Kirkbride was eventually offered a surgical residency because of his glowing references from the Friends Asylum.
He's doing great at the psych facility. Let's give him a surgeon.
Yeah. Well, they were like, all right, you must be fine. Yeah. He did take that residency, but he ended up taking a job as superintendent of the Pennsylvania Hospital for the Insane in 1840. Which he held that position for 43 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Like, he just stayed in it. He wanted to be a surgeon, but then was like, we need to do this more.
So like nothing's changed in 200 years. We still need all these things in mental health.
He poured himself into this role and learned everything there was to know about the treatment and housing of the mentally ill. He became fascinated with the actual buildings, like the actual asylums themselves, and planned a hospital environment that in its very design would have a curative effect on its patients. So the building itself would help make these patients feel better. In the mid-1850s, the Kirkbride plan was established in over several decades. Around 300 asylums all over North America were designed and built using his vision. Kirkbride's design called for, quote, long, rambling wings that provided therapeutic sunlight and air to comfortable living quarters. They were designed to be self-sufficient and to provide patients with a variety of stimulating activities. Kirkbride was a founding member of the American Psychiatric Association, the APA. He married and had a family with a patient and survived an assassination attempt.
He married one of the patients?
Mm-hmm.
Probably because it was some woman who had gone through menopause.
Yeah.
And the husband was a dick and wanted to marry somebody younger, and she was completely normal.
Mm-hmm. And someone tried to kill him and he survived it.
Why, though?
I don't know.
Why, God, why?
I don't know. At the psych hospital, I don't know. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum was constructed during the Kirkbride Plan between 1858 and 1881. It remains the largest hand-cut stone masonry building in North America.
Wow.
And second in the world only to the Kremlin.
We gotta go, dude.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
Second in the world to the Kremlin.
I mean, I could care less about Pennsylvania, but we gotta go.
Yeah, but that's just the building itself.
Would be amazing to see.
It was intended to only house 250 patients, despite its very large size. This was because they wanted patients to have their own space, and it was believed the superintendent could only manage a certain number of patients while effectively providing quality care. Mm-hmm. You cannot put 1 million patients in one place.
How long before they put 1 million patients in there?
It was built on 600 acres, which included a working farm, a dairy herd, a water reservoir, and an ice plant. Again, it was self-sustaining and it had ample opportunity for patient stimulation because they could work on the farm. Mm-hmm. They could go to the water reservoir. They could go work in the ice plant. However, the tranquility and quality of care declined over the years, and funding models changed. By the 1930s, the hospital could not keep up with its patients. The outnumbered orderlies could not regain control, and patients were running wild. In October of 1935, patients set fire to the 4th floor, completely destroying it. In another incident, 2 patients tried to hang another with bed sheets.
Woo!
That didn't work, so they crushed his head with a metal bed frame.
Holy shit.
In another case, a nurse was missing for 2 days and then was found at the bottom of an unused staircase. At its peak in the 1950s, the hospital housed 2,400 patients.
Yeah, for 250.
More than 10 times its intended population.
That's the thing, is they ruin shit because they're going to
It would have worked wonderfully, and you could have controlled them if it was 250. The local media started reporting on the poor living conditions there. It was reported that, quote, it looked like a hog pen and smelled even worse.
Oof.
And in 1985, the Charleston Gazette also reported it was dirty and unkept and, quote, that patients were naked and confined to dirty wards with bathrooms smeared with feces.
That would never happen in a regular hospital. Why is it being allowed to happen there? Right. Isn't that crazy?
Because they have so many people in this one space. Exactly what Kirkbride was trying to avoid was happening in this hospital. The hospital finally closed its doors in 1994. Not that long ago.
No.
At closing, the only part of the hospital that had been expanded to keep up with the demand was the cemetery.
Oh.
Nothing was added to that hospital except for more space in the cemetery. The once airy, ornate building now sits abandoned with medical equipment and furniture still filling the rooms. It is now open for historical and ghost tours from May.
Laura, we're taking a road trip.
From May to November. The most famous ghost is a 9-year-old girl named Lily. Aww. She died of pneumonia at the asylum. Her room on the 4th floor is filled with toys like balls and dolls, which are reported to move on their own, and a music box that turns on at random.
It's always a creepy fucking music box.
There's always weird,
that
slow
creepy music box. Always. Well, I paired that lovely story with a lovely story of our own, of a place that my entire life, to this day, still fascinates me. It is now a condo complex, so I can't see it the way I want it to.
I mean, maybe we can tour a condo.
Well, they still have the cemetery. All right, so I'm speaking of the infamous Danvers State Hospital in Massachusetts. I also got my information from All That's Interesting. I think, Laura, I clearly have dementia or a stroke because I cannot speak anymore.
Maybe you're catching whatever I have.
Maybe. In 1874, the state of Massachusetts purchased a farm that had apple orchards, pine groves, and everything from Francis Dodge, and they erected the the State Lunatic Hospital at Danvers. They picked an extremely rural, so in 1874, Danvers, when my kid went to high school, extremely rural, out-of-the-way location for Nathaniel Bradley to build his hospital. At the time of the project, Boston had closed its South Boston facility. The Worcester, Taunton, Northampton, and Tewksbury asylums, for chronic patients, they were already overcrowded and they needed another facility. So those places were big. They were housing 1,000 people. There was 1,400 people in them. So it opened in 1878. It had space for patients, attendants, and administration, reflecting a centralized approach to care. Later, there were male and female houses added. There was a male and female TB unit added. Cottages, repair shops, and farm buildings, hoping to make the facility self-sufficient, which I believe at one time it was. There was an emphasis on occupational therapy. The first patients arrived on May 13th of 1878, and Dr. Calvin May was superintendent. And the initial goal was to provide residential care to mentally ill. So these people are going to be there forever. We're going to try to take care of them. It becomes Danvers State Hospital, and by 1900, it employed 125 people and had treated over 9,500 people.
What?
Its population grew, and by 1920, the 400-bed facility was housing over 2,000 people. The living conditions become horrific, of course. It's literally the same story.
Yeah.
Patients are walking through the hallways naked, living in their own filth. They're not receiving any treatment. Shock therapy and straitjackets are if you're misbehaving, you're getting shocked and you're putting in a straitjacket. 1939 introduces lobotomies.
Oh.
They are the newest rage to treat the mentally ill. So by 1939, 2,360 patients are at Danvers State and 278 dying, and they're saying a lot of them were attributed to these lobotomies.
Yikes. Well,
so it is known, Danvers State was known as the birthplace of the prefrontal lobotomy.
Really?
Yes, we really need to we need to do an episode on lobotomies. On this man who came up with it, thought it was a great idea, and they were giving lobotomies to fucking everybody.
We did do that.
Did we do
like
a whole...
up through the nose?
I think you talked about all of this.
Yeah.
Did we? Oh, God. See, I'm losing my mind.
Like, we did do that.
And we did the Rose Kennedy lobotomy and all that? Yeah. All right, I guess we did. So the visitors to the hospital in the 40s reported watching lobotomy patients just aimlessly walking through the hallways, staring at walls, walking around naked. There's like the whole hospital is just lobotomized patients. So funding for mental health begins to decline. Oh, shocker. I mean, look at
Why would we treat
mentally
people who
ill?
have an illness?
Right. So by 1969, portions of the hospital were shut down. Most were closed by 1985, and it permanently closed in 1992. Horror novelist H.P. Lovecraft used Danvers State Hospital to inspire Arkham Sanitarium, which is where most of Batman's enemies have come out of.
Oh.
So the reason we talk about Danvers State, because it was also built on the
Kirkbride plan.
It is now they kept the front facade, and it's all condos and townhouses, which you would never get me living at Danvers State Hospital. No. Sorry. I had an aunt who was up there, and she had, God bless her heart, she'd been in a car accident in like late 20s, early 30s. They didn't know what anything was, so she was like third grade. And then she started having seizures, and she was very hard to manage. And then by the time she was 18, she was violent. So they wound up putting her at Danvers. God knows what happened to her at that place. And then when they shut that down, she went into a nursing home, and we would pick her up every week. She was a sweetheart. I just loved her to death. But I can only imagine the horrors that poor woman saw and had to deal with at that fucking place.
Right.
But these asylums fascinate me. Mental health in that time fascinate. How you had no rights.
No.
And now they have the rights which you need, but some of these people, it's almost like they have too many rights because they need the help and you can't keep them.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to keep them.
Or there's not enough beds.
There is not enough beds.
No.
There's no place to put them. There's waiting lines. There's hours in the ERs.
Weeks in the ER.
Yes.
They will sit weeks in the ERs waiting for beds to get into a mental health facility.
We are in a crisis with mental health, and nobody's addressing it. Nobody's addressing it. They're addressing all the symptoms of it, but nobody's addressing the problem.
No. And if you think like this plan this guy had, Kirkbride, You're like, yeah, give them light, give them air, give them a job, give them a purpose, give them like something to look forward to, give them a routine. All of this stuff is going to help. And it's like such a good premise. And then they overrun it. They won't fund it. They won't, like if you don't have funding, you can't get the staff. Don't have the staff.
There was a whole article about how a lot of these psych patients, when they had a routine, they knew what time they were getting up. They knew they had a job. They knew where they were going to bed. And everything was planned for them. It reduced the amount of meds they would take.
Yeah.
I had heard you weren't allowed to use them as work. And so now either you had to pay them or they weren't allowed to work them anymore. And it's like, you're not working them for the profit of the state. You're giving them a purpose. Right. So why isn't it allowed?
Like you're going to eat dinner. So go milk the cow. We'll get the milk and you can have milk at dinner. Like
somebody takes care of the dairy farm.
Right.
Somebody is farming.
Go
somebody's
comb the cow.
Cooking.
Go
like, why can't they run the facilities? These people aren't physically debilitated. They just need help. And some people with some of their mental illness, if they have the structure, they can function. It's when you're expecting them to run their apartment, run their laundry, they can't do it and they completely decompensate. So it should come back and let them, you can't afford to pay for them to be there. Let them work it off. And I don't mean work it off like a, chain gang, but they've got a job. They got something to do. It's self-sustaining. Why can't we do that? I don't think there's anything for what they were not like, chaining them to a stove.
Like, what is better? Like if something's, go outside, go for a walk, get fresh air. Like that's what that's what you're doing. Like laying
play with the animals
in a room by yourself.
Right.
Is not
waiting for the nursing student to come in and be like, well, how do you feel about that?
Right.
Yeah, it's a big
just
problem.
Makes sense. It's just terrible that
it is terrible.
Didn't work.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, happy Halloween. That's our note on that. Always send us in your stories. We're always interested.
Yes, thank you for writing that in.
We did like that very much. I think we're gonna have to go down there. I think it's happening, Laura.
Maybe we'll take a little trip.
That would be an amazing tour.
Yeah,
they should have done.
What did I say? May through October?
Yeah, November, I think.
Oh,
because you got to do it for Halloween. Hello,
obviously.
Be amazing. So yes, send us in your stories. We'd love to hear them, and we will come up with something fun for Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsandscrubs@gmail.com.